Hi, today I'd like to demonstrate some more of the features of the Green Screen Wizard Photoshop plugin. Now, in green screen photography, there's always two problems you're dealing with. A background that's not perfect and a foreground that has green in it. The Photoshop plugin can solve both of these problems. So let's take a look at our first image here. And if you remember from our earlier talk, the way we use the plugin is we drag an image over a background, and then we're going to filter it using the Green Screen Wizard filter. And you can see we have a choice here. We can clean up the background, but when we do, her hair is all messed up. So let's see what we can do about that. So let's cancel out of here because we didn't really like that, and let's do a select a color range. And what we're going to do is we're going to select that, oh, there we go, this green area. Now notice it's also selecting some of the hair area, and this is part of the trouble. Oops. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of this dark area, but we don't want to get rid of the dark areas around her hair. And the Photoshop plugin allows us to do that. It allows us to edit the photo and be selective. So we're going to basically just paint some green in here. Okay, and then we select and we deselect that. Now let's try the filter. And we'll restore that dark area again, and this time we get beautiful hair recovery, and away we go. So that's really all there is to it. You can use the green, you can either erase it later as I'll show you, or you can use some green to clean up the photo. So there you go, with nice hair. All the black areas that we saw before have been removed. And so the Photoshop plugin is a very powerful tool, particularly if you have a situation where you have some bad lighting. So now let's take a look at our next example. What do we do? So we'll reload our ocean, and we'll open another example of the bride. Now here our bride is holding some green flowers. And even though I don't particularly like this background with this particular photo, I did it so that you can see the things a little more clearly. So let's filter out. Oh, sorry. I forgot to make it a 3-layer system. So here we're going to slow down for a second. So you notice we have 2 layers, okay? What we want to do is we want to duplicate this layer. So we go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. And it doesn't really matter what we name it. Now we have 3 layers, and this is why I call it the 3-layer system, and you'll see how this works in a second. So we go back to our filter, we go to Green Screen Wizard, and now you can see that the flowers have taken on kind of a weird look. In fact, we'll make it even just a little more, a little less transparent. Now we can actually recover the flowers if we want by putting some green in this way. But that if she was a blonde, you get green hair and a lot of other problems. So we're not going to do that this time. We're just going to leave it kind of set where it is. Now what will happen is we're creating that new layer. We're merging the background and the foreground together. But now you'll see the beauty of the 3-layer system. The fact is we have a combined layer here, but the layer below it, if we erase it, is still our green. So all we really need to do is select this layer, select the erase tool, maybe make it a little fuzzier, a little smaller. And we basically go in and we erase where the green is. And voila, we have perfect flowers back. So that's really all there is to it. Essentially, if you want to look at it in a different way, we've blown a hole in this top layer and erase down to the layer below us. So the hair can be perfect, Green Screen Wizard can do its thing, and that's really all there is to it. So that's why we call it the three-layer system. Now if there's a problem with the background, you could also merge these two together. So layer, merge down. And now we could erase anything in the background we didn't like. In this case, I don't think there's anything, but if we wanted to, let's say we didn't really like that, the way that flower looked. Now see, what we're doing is we're erasing down to the background. Or maybe we don't like that little hair there. Okay, I kind of like that little hair there. But anyways, that's how it works. And of course you just flatten the image when you're done, and then you can save it away. So that explains the three-layer system. Okay. So for our next example, we get a lot of questions about how can I use sandwich overlays and a magazine overlay. So I'd like to do one of those. So for this, we're going to open the Jenna, a beautiful little girl here. And then we need to open a background overlay. And they're unfortunately located in a different spot, so we got to go hunting around for those. They're installed with the product. So we go to Program Files. Come on. Green Screen Wizard Pro is where I installed my overlays. And we need a foreground overlay. And we're going to use the globe, because that seems to be one of the most popular ones. And there, flower globe, no glint. And then file open, we need the equivalent background globe. Now in the regular product, once you select a foreground, it automatically selects the background because we have this naming convention. But here we got to kind of do it by hand, and that's unfortunate. Okay, so now we have three things. We have the background, the foreground, and our picture. So the first thing we do is we take our picture and we want to drag it, oops, put the move tool on. We want to drag it over our foreground. And we'll make it fit the page here. But you can see she's a little too big, so we go Control T. Remember, that's our thing for scaling. And we scale her down in here. And we go like that. And then we gotta save it. Filter. Now we can do it either way, but let's just save it that way. So now we have the globe and the girl, the background and the girl superimposed on one another. And here's where we take our foreground. Now if you hold the Shift key, it should center it. And there you go. So without the background, with the background. Or without the foreground, with the foreground. And there you go, girl in a globe. So you can do that with the magazine covers, or you can do that with any of the sandwich overlays, and you can create these really cool effects really easily. And again, you can touch up the photo or fix whatever you're not happy with. Okay, so let's try one last, more advanced example. So let's go back to our digital images. I gathered all these together so I wouldn't have to go all over the place. There we go, Photoshop demo. And let's load we're going to load a fairy, and we're going to load the, let's see, we want to load the fairy and the butterfly background and butterfly wings for this example. Okay, so the first thing we do is we take our fairy and we move her into the image. And she's a little big, so we'll scale her down a bit. Okay. And then we run the Green Screen Wizard filter. So this is where the filter really pays off. You can start doing all these really intricate things and sort of let your imagination go wild and just do about anything you want because you have all the power of Photoshop to fix things. And now I made it transparent so we can move her around a little bit. One of the problems we have is her ear looks a lot like the butterfly, so it looks funny if she's right next to a butterfly. So let's move her right about there. That looks pretty good. Now you notice I made her transparent because you might want to, again, position her around in this thing. Now I happen to have a couple of cool butterfly wings here, so we're going to put those in the mix. And of course we don't really want our butterfly wings in front of her, we want them behind her. Oops. We grab the butterfly wings. And there you go, a work of art, which I think is really cool. So I enjoy doing a lot of these fantasy things myself. That's kind of my hobby and how I got into all this. You may not appreciate that, but little girls like to be butterflies and princesses and fairies, and so this technique allows you to do a lot of that. And it's a little faster and easier in the Photoshop, or in the standalone version, than in the Photoshop version, but the Photoshop version gives you more flexibility. The truth of the matter is 90% of the time I use the standalone version because it's fast and effective and it works fine. But the other 10% of the time when I have an exposure problem or the person didn't fit on the screen, then I come in here and use Photoshop. And I either paint the background with Photoshop with a little extra green, or I run the whole 3-layer system. So I hope you enjoyed this demo. Those of you that own Green Screen Wizard can upgrade on our website. And if you don't own the Photoshop plugin or Green Screen Wizard standalone, then you're of course welcome to buy. It's available on the PC, and we've recently released it on the Mac. Still having a few install problems on the Mac, but hopefully we'll get those straightened out. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the talk.